migration, sometimes you might feel that you're the only one experiencing it, and you might feel shame or embarrassed to talk about it with your friends or maybe your teachers. But it just might be that your friends might be feeling the exact same way and might be thinking the exact same way, that hey, everyone around me looks happy, they might be doing good, and you might minimize your own emotions and your own challenges. But through this webinar, we're trying to encourage and trying to bring about awareness that migration, coming to a new country, settling in a new country is challenging, and it's okay to talk to someone about it if you feel that you are not coping. One of those emotions that we feel, we experience when we are not coping is stress. Stress is an emotion that's very much minimized, you know. When people talk about stress, then most often than not, it's people say, oh yeah, everyone's experiencing stress, so what? As an emotion, it's very much swept under the carpet, it's very much minimized. But if stress is not, we don't manage it, or we don't talk about it, we don't do something to decrease our stress levels, it can be really harmful for our emotional well-being. And so one of the things that we're here to talk about are the different symptoms that you can experience when you're experiencing stress. So stress can, the 4 different symptoms include cognitive symptoms. So cognitive symptoms are our thoughts. This is what we think. Symptoms of stress can also include physical symptoms. Physical symptoms are what we experience in our body. It can also involve emotional symptoms. These are our emotions, what we are feeling. And symptoms of stress can also be behavioral. So this can be what we do in our actions. Sometimes as a result of stress, we tend to do certain actions as an outlet. In our mind, it's a way of dealing or coping with stress, but it's an unhealthy way. So cognitive symptoms include, we start seeing things in a negative way. So for example, if we don't hand in our assignment, we start thinking that, okay, it's the end of the world. I will fail the course. We constantly worry about everyday things. We have poor judgment. We are unable to concentrate. We become very anxious, and we experience racing thoughts.
And quite common, like when we anticipate, what's coming, because, like usually the individual might find that, I have to do the assignment today, and then I have to prepare for the exam for the following week, and things can seem to be overwhelmed. And that is when individual might start thinking about, oh my God, I might fail everything, like I'm not preparing well, I don't know what to do. And also might decide that, okay, I just going to study harder and push myself even harder. So I might just need to study 2 more hours before I go to sleep. So for a lot of people, that could be early signs of feeling anxious and wanting to control things. And for individuals who suffer from anxiety, there might be even a more tendency to control the future outcomes. Means that, on top of getting tired and also anxious, one might find it, like they want to work even harder just so that they can get on top of things. And certainly certain stress are healthy because it kind of push us a little bit harder to motivate us. But when things start tipping over, that is where we want individual to consider and to watch out. How do you sit in that balance? And so I will let Shirleen carry on.
Thank you. Some of the emotional symptoms that we experience when we are stressed out are mood swings. So you wake up and you're feeling happy, and then when you go to school, or when you just a few minutes or just a short amount of time later, you start feeling really upset, and then you start feeling angry. So there are you feel different emotions. So this is one of the ways that is an indicator that something's not right, because a person doesn't experience all these emotions within a short span of time. It means that something's not right, that you are not you might be under stress about something, under pressure, and feeling very stressed out. A second emotional symptom include sense of loneliness and feeling isolated. So this happens when you start feeling, even though you've got friends around you, you don't want to go out anymore, and you want to stay home most of the time. You don't feel like going home or going out with your friends, socializing with your friends, because and then you start feeling very loneliness and feeling isolated. You're thinking, or your body is telling you, or your emotions are telling you that that there's no one who understands you. Only you understand your emotions. So that's the emotion symptom of feeling stressed. Other things include depression, and this does not mean that you have clinical depression. If you're feeling stressed, this means that you may be experiencing depressive symptoms. So you might be feeling down and upset. If you're feeling down and upset for 2-3 days, that's okay. But if it continues 1 week and 2 weeks, then it's not okay. That means you're not emotionally, you're not coping. You don't find pleasure in doing things. This means that everyday things that you enjoyed, or everyday things that you had, did with your friends, or everyday things that you do, you don't want to do them anymore. You are reluctant to get out of bed. And even doing normal things like making yourself breakfast, or having a cup of coffee, you don't find that any pleasure in all those things that you liked before. Also, you start feeling very overwhelmed. So things such as assignments, or things such as attending a class, to you feels very overwhelming. And you start getting very short-tempered. So you find yourself getting angry very, very quickly. Things that you felt that you can control, you feel you're no longer in control of your emotions. And you start getting, so in order to cope with that feeling of not being in control, you express anger, you express frustration, and this becomes a constant thing.
And by learning this, I think it's really important to remind everyone that we're not here to diagnose individuals' potential of having some mental health issue, but really to bring some knowledge into you and have some insight to understand, because you might not necessarily feel that certain people might have more resilience than other. And also able to cope better. However, I also understand research have found that the most effective way for anyone to reach out for help is through peer. So if you learned what you learned today, and you might be able to recognize some of the symptoms that are already happening within among your friends, you might be able to serve as a reminder for your friends to look after their well-being. And later on, we will also talk a little bit about how one can actually manage better and regulate their emotions and well-being.